Peace and love, everyone, and welcome back for another Sunday Hope and Healing session. I'm Royce Fletcher Thomason, and as always, we're here at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon to bring you encouragement, hope, and actual healing. We do that through a methodology that we refer to as Transcending the Matrix as far as actual healing is concerned, as well as sharing various insights that will hopefully be able to be a blessing to you in your life. And so, greetings to you, Curly Conscious King, and to, oops, okay, I thought that I was showing something. I'm broadcasting, as you can see, from my car. I see what appears to be a comment, but I do not appear to be able to post the comment or to get it to show up on the screen. I'm not sure what that's all about. Anyway, glad to be here with you all. As you can see, I'm in my car. I'm traveling and actually had to pull off the freeway and find somewhere where I could park and be stationary for a moment to do today's Sunday Hope and Healing session. So wherever it is that you are, I'm sending from my heart to yours a whole bunch of love in your direction with the intent and the trust that it reaches you wherever you need it to today. And so our topic for today is the power of your pain, the purpose of your pain and how to be healed of it. So no doubt if you're watching this, you've experienced pain in life. You've experienced probably physical as well as mental or emotional pain. It's part of the human condition. It's something that we all experience at some juncture or another. And really, quite frankly, who likes pain? We don't tend to enjoy pain, and we tend to do what we can to avoid having to experience pain. We try to do things to sometimes numb ourselves from the pain, and that could be pain that we're dealing with that might hurt our heart, that might hurt us mentally or emotionally. A lot of us do things to self-medicate, to try to numb ourselves from the pain that we don't want to feel. And then there's also physical pain that we experience. And a lot of times we actually do things to numb ourselves from that physical pain as well. We might take muscle relaxers or painkillers that aren't actually getting rid of the pain, but they're actually numbing our awareness to pain's presence. Numbing our awareness to pain's presence. And somehow we have become, quite adept at numbing ourselves. We've numbed ourselves to the presence of pain, and unfortunately, we also have on occasion, numbed ourselves to the presence of love. All right, and so I'm speaking to you on this topic, certainly as someone who's experienced pain, and somebody who's been able to get to the other side of pain, thankfully, and I count it a great privilege and blessing of my life as being someone who actually has been able to help heal people from pain, and have been doing that for a long time. I've been in ministry since '96, for the last 24 years. Okay. And so there have been countless people that I've encountered, uh, not only across the United States, but across the globe, that I've been blessed to be able to be um, an expression of healing, or a vessel of healing that's brought freedom from pain to a lot of people. Not by masking the pain or numbing people from the pain, but by getting to the root cause of the pain and addressing the root cause. And a lot of times we're doing things to, as I said earlier, try to self-medicate and find other ways of coping with pain or managing the pain, because we don't necessarily know what the root is. We have an idea, or we think that such and such is the cause of our pain. And quite frankly, and I'm talking about somebody who's worked with thousands of people, over, roughly 2.5 decades, and has seen time and time again that most of the times the things that we think are the root cause of the pain are not the root cause of the pain. And so, if there is pain, and by the way, share this with somebody that you feel like this will be a blessing to them, if you will. Whether you're sharing it on Facebook or via text message, please share this with somebody that you think you'll be a blessing to. Because we're going to address all areas of pain, or all aspects of pain. The different ways that pain shows up, maybe, is even a better way of sharing that. But like I said earlier, we've all experienced pain in one way or another, or in multiple ways. Most of us have experienced a variety of different um, pain in a variety of different ways, I should say. All right. Okay. And so, if we're going to have pain, then because God is loving and wants the absolute best for you, you are loved, you are worthy of love, and there's nothing that can change that. Okay. And if you are going to have pain, then it may be worthwhile to get something out of the pain, right? Other than just sympathy. You know, that's something we can milk pain for, is getting sympathy for other people, from other people, when we share our stories of pain and so forth. But I mean, something that's going to be actually more valuable to us than that. What is the purpose of your pain? And I want to invite you to turn to your inner self and ask, what is the purpose of your pain specifically? If you're having some pain that you're dealing with right now, you might have stubbed your toe and might be feeling some discomfort as a result of that, or in connection with that. I can tell you right now, it's not the root cause of your pain. You stubbing your toe was a symptom of something else that was calling forth from within, right? And so, what is the purpose of your pain? I'll tell you what the purpose of your pain is. I'll give you a clue so that you can maybe get a little bit more in touch with the purpose of your pain. And the purpose of your pain is to help you learn something about you. If you have pain, if you're experiencing pain, no matter whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, if you're experiencing pain, that pain is there to bring you a gift, to learn something about you that you aren't quite aware of yet, or that you're not in the moment allowing yourself to know about you. Okay? Would you like me to tell you what it is? You want me to tell you what it is? I'll go ahead and tell you. I don't mind. The purpose of your pain is to help you remember something that you've forgotten. The purpose of your pain is to help you remember something that you've forgotten. Well, what is it that I've forgotten? And why do I have to have pain to help me remember? Now, I'll tell you this. I already gave you a little bit of an insight, a little bit of a clue. The reason that any of us experiences pain is because there is somewhere in some aspect of our beingness that we have forgotten about the presence of God's love, or that we have in some ways disconnected from the awareness of love's presence in our lives. Okay? Now, you might think that sounds a little odd. And listen, I'm not telling you as somebody who's just saying this okey doke hokey stuff. I've been on this spiritual journey for a long time, and I have certainly experienced pain. I have certainly experienced my share of pain, physical pain and emotional pain. I have experienced my share of it. And listen, let me tell you something. And this is something I've learned in my own journey. Times I've had to be brutally honest with myself. You see, it's so easy for us to point the finger or cast blame on something else. It's so easy to play the victim. It's easy to do that. We sometimes can get compassion from others playing the victim. We sometimes can get the experience of being given a pass for not being responsible. But what if we took full responsibility for all of the pain that we might experience? I'm not saying that it's your fault that you experience pain. I'm not saying it's your fault that somebody broke your heart. I'm not saying it's your fault that necessarily that you got laid off from your job, even though you were getting exceptionally good performance reviews. I'm not saying that it was your fault because somebody blindsided you in a car accident. I'm not saying it was your fault because you ended up having a surgical procedure and there was something in your body that ended up being removed, and then your body's experiencing the trauma from that surgery, not only from what the issue was, but also from the surgery and being cut open and needing to have those meridians realigned and having scar tissue and all of that to have to deal with. I'm not saying that any of that is your fault, but what I am saying is that your pain has a purpose, and the purpose of your pain is to help you see something that you weren't currently seeing before. I want to make an unequivocal statement, and the unequivocal statement that I want to make is that your worthiness of love is not conditional. And as we learn more and more clearly that our worthiness of love is not conditional, then we don't have to withhold love from ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, any area where you are experiencing something that is feeling not right to you, then it's serving as an indication that on some level, you don't feel like you deserve to have all of the blessings that an infinitely loving God wants to shower upon you. Okay? And that's no matter what it is. And listen, if you don't want to be real with yourself, you might not want to hang around here. This isn't for the faint at heart. I'm telling you, there's some stuff that's kicked my butt. If I want to just keep it 100 with you, there's some stuff that's kicked my butt because, I felt some benefit in telling a story. And I'm not saying it was a lie. I'm just saying telling a story to myself that I'm this way because this person did this, or I'm experiencing this because this person didn't do this. And if that is the case, and there's pain that one is experiencing from that, then what it is an indication of is that we've put conditions on ourselves for being able to have joy. We've put conditions on ourselves for being able to have a sense of satisfaction. We've put conditions on ourselves, and really, quite frankly, all of life, to be able to have a sense of gratitude, deep gratitude, appreciation, and joy. Okay? And so somebody doesn't use their free will in the way that you wanted them to, and you end up experiencing pain. I can say that's been the case with me on more than one occasion. I am quite sure it has been the case with you on more than one occasion. We sometimes get upset and we feel hurt that a person didn't show up the way that we wanted them to, or they showed up different than the way that we wanted them to. And we might have repeated some cycles, repeated some patterns. And if we're repeating those cycles and repeating those patterns and thus experiencing the pain from that, then it means that we haven't yet gotten the lesson. And I'm not saying that this is intended to be a harsh lesson, like a punishment to punish us for doing something wrong or for being bad somehow. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that as we truly, truly, truly learn to really deeply and completely allow ourselves to have poured into us and poured through us the love that which we were designed according to, then we no longer feel the need to punish ourselves for the times that we feel we've fallen short. Newsflash, you've fallen short. I have fallen short more times than I can count. Does it mean that you need to be condemned and punished for your falling short? No, it doesn't mean that you need to be condemned and punished for your falling short. What it means, now, it doesn't mean that you don't need to be corrected for your falling short. I'm going to address that in a sermon at Transforming Love Community next Sunday on the power of proper correction. Power of correction, but more significantly, the power of proper correction. But if you've got some pain, and I don't care, no matter where it might be in your body or where it might be in your body of affairs, where it might be showing up in your life. I used to attract certain types of experiences into my life, and I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why I was attracting those types of experiences into my life, but I kept attracting these certain types of experiences into my life. And it wasn't until I really got that it was okay for me to not have those types of experiences. And it was okay for me to have more preferred types of experiences, that I actually no longer ended up having that type of undesirable experience. Okay. I'm not telling you that I never have any undesirable experiences now, because there's purpose in my pain just like there's purpose in yours. And the purpose of the pain is if you have pain, beloved, it's just an indication that there's somewhere in your life that you are not welcoming in the presence of the light of God's love. That there's some area in your life, there's some belief system, there's something in your consciousness that is not quite yet ready to fully welcome in the presence of the light of God's love. You aren't being punished because you aren't letting the light of God's love in. It's because for whatever reason you don't feel completely worthy of it and aren't giving yourself full permission to welcome that in, and that you feel on some level that you need to have or deserve some level of punishment, that you end up having these other types of experiences. Okay. Now, how do you choose differently? How do you choose differently? One is, I'm going to say this. And then we're going to get into some actual healing. If you're experiencing something other than what feels like love to you, if you're experiencing something other than what feels like peace to you and what feels like blessings to you, then that's an indication that you are blessed with the opportunity to remember what is true rather than pretending what is not true. Now, I know that you've had life experiences where you've been treated with something that didn't show up as love, and maybe by those who were supposed to love you, maybe by those who you were most expecting to have bestow love upon you. maybe those who were your caregivers, maybe those who you'd been involved with romantically. And instead of showing up as love, they showed up as something other than love. Maybe they showed up as resentment. Maybe they showed up as bitterness. Maybe they showed up as toxicity in some shape, form, or manner. Maybe they showed up as abuse. Maybe they showed up in some way that ended up becoming very difficult and painful for you to deal with, right? And I want to say to you that as a soul, if you have come into this earth realm and had that experience, I'm not saying that it was your fault that you had that experience. I'm certainly not saying that at all. What I am saying, however, that as a person who is growing and maturing spiritually, as a person who is choosing to walk in a greater sense of personal empowerment and to be a victor in life rather than a victim in life, what I am saying is that you are blessed with the wonderful privilege and the wonderful gift of being able to choose differently. You may not be able to pop back in a different point in time. You may not be able to jump back in your mother's womb and choose some different parents or anything like that. You might not be able to um, do any of those things. However, what you can do is you can choose where it is that you go from here. What it is that you can do is you can decide for yourself that you are worthy of all the good that is available to you. What it is that you can do for yourself right now is that you can choose. You can choose that you're ready for love. You can choose that you're ready for peace. You don't become ready for love. You don't become ready for peace. You don't become ready for joy just by saying it. It's got to get down deep inside your subconscious mind. And sometimes the reason that you don't think that to the degree that you don't think that is because of programming that you've taken in, and the degree and the way that you get over that same thing is by creating new programming. We're going to get into that. I've been talking a long time. Let's go ahead and get ready to get into this healing. Again, if you know anybody who you feel like this could be a blessing to, I don't know why it is that I can't share. I'm trying to do this from my phone. I can't post the comments. But Curly Conscious King, Terry Vassar, everybody else who's here with us today, many blessings to you. I apologize that I can't, for whatever reason, share your comments today. But let's go ahead and get into this healing. Whatever area you're experiencing pain in your life, I'm just going to ask you to submit that into this prayer. If there's somebody that you know who's dealing with pain, no matter what kind of pain it is they're dealing with, no matter what kind of pain it is that they're dealing with. I had a dear friend spoke with on the phone the other day. That friend was actually also on the phone with another friend. We all went to the same school, and that person, one of the people, was on the way to the hospital experiencing severe pain. And we did a quick prayer. I found out, through a text message that the person was responding, the person who was rushing to the hospital, responded and said that the prayer worked. Okay. I do believe in the power of prayer, and I do believe in the power of healing, and I do believe in the power of love. And if there's somebody who you feel like could use some prayer, if there's somebody who you feel like can use some healing, if there's somebody that you feel like can use some love, I wholeheartedly encourage you to share this with them. Okay, so that they can get it. There's some things that are happening that you don't see. It's more than just the words that are coming out of my mouth. All right, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the prayer. God, I know you to be a healer, and it's such a wonderful privilege to be able to, for all these years and even on today, to be able to serve you as a vessel of healing on the behalf of all of those who, in this moment now, or even on a playback, choose to tap into this healing for the purpose of addressing the root cause of whatever deeply held subconscious beliefs that lead to pain, from the point of the root cause into the entire energy field of every strand of DNA and of each and every one of us, and transmuting that into and replacing it with a sense of, with the divine revelation of your unconditional love for us, our unconditional worthiness of love, and divine alignment to attract into our life experiences that which demonstrates to us that we are worthy of love and blessings and well-being. And I bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this gift of your divine love. It is done. It is done. It is done. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some of this healing here. Okay. So let's first look at one of the things I want to look at real quickly, just kind of off the bat, is wrong teachings that we've taken in about God. Want to purify that through the point of the causal root in the entire energetic structure of every strand of DNA. Purifying that through the power of pure love. False teachings from those who we believed knew better than we did about the nature of God and how it is that God operates. And the false teaching and misunderstood belief system, misunderstood and inaccurate interpretation that God seeks to punish us for our misdeeds and for our shortcomings. I want to purify that through the power of pure love, welcoming the presence of the light of God's pure love and divine light into the spaces where we've held on to those deeply held subconscious belief systems. Things that have been, those belief systems that have been passed down through our DNA, through our ancestral lineage. Those belief systems that exist within the collective consciousness of humanity. Those belief systems that were taught to us as a way of attempting to control us. We want to purify that through the power of God's pure love, replacing it with God's pure love and divine light and true revelation of the presence of God's peace, power, healing, and love in our lives. Okay. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I want to look at right now for a moment the ways that I want to look at it in the context of kind of like karma for the ways that we have gotten other people to buy into errored belief systems. Okay. Not as a punishment. And karma, by the way, isn't intended to punish. All it really is there for is to help awaken you to a greater degree of compassion. Okay. Or to awaken me to a greater degree of compassion. When you get the lesson, you don't have to keep taking the test. Okay. All right. So strengthen us to be able to graduate on to our next level of spiritual evolution. Doesn't mean that you have to die, but to be able to get to the next level of peace, love, and joy. Okay. All right. So let's look at subconscious belief system that to be righteous means that you have to suffer. Okay. So we want to purify that through the power of God's pure love. Want to transmute that into the awareness that being divinely aligned put you in a state of being aligned with God's goodness, blessings, and favor. Okay. So we want to deal with the teaching, the false belief system that for you to do right means that you have to suffer. Now, I want to kind of also put that in the context of that doesn't mean that the people that you've hung around that are tapped into an outdated belief system of might is right and want to punish you for not satisfying their egoic urges. Okay, because as you become enlightened, those who are not choosing that path might not necessarily feel comfortable with your growth. And that isn't about your growth, it's that it's triggering within them their own call from within to grow themselves, to transcend the aspects of themselves that are endeavoring to edge God out and to be divinely aligned themselves. And sometimes when a person sees something in you that triggers within them the awareness of where it is that they're not, and it might sometimes stimulate within them some guilt or some shame that they're not where they think they should be, or maybe don't even want to do the work to get there. Sometimes people can project that negativity onto you. But right now, what I want to do is address, kind of a spiritual force field to strengthen us to be able to actually, and I'm going to give you an affirmation. I've done this before, this affirmation. I only engage with those who are I only engage with those who are loving and appreciative towards me. I only engage with those who are loving and appreciative towards me. And if you, remain true to that affirmation, what you'll see happen is that the people who are filled with negativity will just kind of fall by the wayside. They won't bring that negativity into your path because they just aren't in your path anymore, or the negativity will be turned off within them when they're around you. Either way, you're able to dwell in a state of peace because that is the vibration that you're moving in, and therefore the vibration that you are also attracting into your life experience. And without another aspect that says that you've experienced so much peace or you've experienced so much joy, now it's about time for you to have some heartache and pain. That's not the case. It can be joy on top of joy, peace on top of peace, blessings on top of blessings. All right. So let's strengthen us even in terms of our awareness of the presence of peace, strengthen ourselves to the awareness of the presence of love. That particularly needs to be boosted. Strengthening ourselves to the awareness of love's presence. That's what A Course in Miracles is all about, by the way. If anyone is familiar at all with A Course in Miracles, it essentially says that it does not endeavor to teach what love is. That's really kind of beyond what can be taught. But what it does endeavor to do is to to eliminate the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, right? So God is love. There's no spot where God is not. God is everywhere equally present. That means love is always available in any moment, no matter where it is that you are. Okay, the key is about being receptive to that love. The key is being both receptive and perceptive of that love. Okay, all right, so let's kind of clear the blockages that would keep us from receiving the love, and certainly that would have us pushing the love away. We're going to purify that through the power of pure love. And right now, let me just address some negative programming that might have come in 10,000 different forms or more. We're going to delete those, purifying those through the power of pure love, transmuting them into and replacing them with evidences, teachings, and examples of you being worthy of love, and that it is quite okay for you to receive it. Okay. If you're going through all kinds of hell in your life, it might be a good time to take a moment and pause and to just say to yourself, you can call yourself by name, look yourself in the mirror, say to yourself, call yourself by name, say to yourself, you are worthy of love, and it's okay for you to receive it. You are worthy of love, and it's okay for you to accept it. You are worthy of peace, and it's okay for you to experience it. Remind yourself what is true when your life experiences are bringing you something that indicates something different. Okay? All right, so let me take a moment and look at strengthening receptivity to genuine, authentic truth teachings that remind us how to find God in our own presence. Mm. Okay, now for that, I need to look at fear of God. There's a perspective that a lot of people have based on the scripture in the book of Proverbs. It says the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Well, guess what? That same Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, if you're looking at the King James Bible, says the charity is patient and is kind. But we understand that in 2025 in US English, as opposed to 1611 in British English, that a better understanding of that, what was translated as charity, is really unconditional love. That term that was translated as fear in Proverbs, a better understanding of it would be awe. The awe of God is the beginning of wisdom. And so there's a lot, and that doesn't mean I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but I understand that the Grand Canyon inspires feelings of awe. Okay. I have stood at in oceans, and looked out at the vastness of the ocean and been inspired by a sense of awe. I have, on a clear night out in the middle of nowhere, looked up in the sky and seen the sky blanketed in stars, far too many for me to be able to count, and felt a sense of awe. And beyond the awe of these things that I was beholding was an awe that God is so wonderful and so magnificent to be able to have created that thing, which is still just an incredibly infinitesimal speck in the greater scheme of the totality of a vast universe. And yet the same God created all of that as well. Now you think about that, and it can engender a sense of awe. Now, if you have that sense of awe and that sense of deep appreciation for that, and you see yourself as kind of an incredibly important yet still infinitesimally small part of this big vastness of life itself, then it's easy to have a sense of respect for that, and to have a sense of reverence for life itself and the creator of life. And because you begin to believe that everything that God made is good, if it isn't good, then God didn't make it. And if God didn't make it, then it isn't real. If you believe that God is love, if you believe that God is love, and that God created in a spirit of love, and that everything that you experience is an opportunity for you to experience love. Let me put that a little bit differently, because I could see that being something that somebody would use to justify staying in an incredibly toxic relationship. And that is not what I am endeavoring to do right now. This Florida sun is beating down pretty hot. I have to turn this AC a little bit cooler. Um, what I do want to say, beloved, is when you recognize that an infinitely powerful, infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely loving God created both you and the vastness of the universe and every other human being that you encounter, and that every moment is an opportunity for you to choose to see through the eyes of love, that every opportunity, every life circumstance and situation is an opportunity for you to be able to identify an area where some love and some warmth and some kindness can be displayed. Maybe that's to somebody, towards somebody who's going through struggles and going through some challenges. Maybe it's for the person who is unhoused. Maybe it's for the person who lost their spouse or lost their child or their parent. Maybe it's for the person who's struggling in whatever area of life they're struggling in at any given point in time, or whether that is you who might be having a difficult time with something that you've been experiencing lately, or whether that person is your own inner child who didn't get something that they desperately needed, and you choosing to be loving and compassionate towards that one, to be forgiving towards that one, and to do what you can to help that one experience a sense of well-being. All right? That's what it's all about. We're here to be vessels of love. If we're having some pain, it's an indication that we are somehow, some way withholding love, whether that is from someone else or from ourselves. And the way that we resolve that is by inviting in love's presence, which is another way of saying welcoming God into the situation to transform it by the power of God's pure love and divine light. And it doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers, but if you're having problems, if you're having pain, it's an indication that God's presence, God's light, and God's love can be used in that situation. Okay? And so I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to do a close out prayer. God, thank you so much for all of those who've joined us today. But thank you even more, God, for you. And thank you for your love. Thank you for your mercy, for your grace, for your power, and for your healing that is a function of your love. Help us to be able to more fully welcome in your loving presence to the areas of our lives where we have not previously welcomed it in. Help us to forgive ourselves for withholding that love from ourselves in the past. And help us to be able to continue to go forward as expressions of your love in a world where people can use your love and the reminders thereof. And sometimes that person, God, is us. Help us to become increasingly more open and receptive to the love that you want to flow to us and flow through us. Thank you for these and all other blessings. I affirm it is done, it is done, it is done. All righty, beloveds. It's been good being here with you all today. I'll look forward to catching you next Sunday. I probably will be traveling next Sunday too. But until we meet again, I bid you adieu with peace and love as we continue to endeavor to enter into that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. And I will catch you next time.